So, welcome back and good afternoon to Excellency, Honorable guest speaker, ladies and gentlemen, as well as participants. Once again, it's our pleasure to welcome everyone to Cambodia's first international virtual conference on mentoring educators. The theme of mentoring and professional development for educators. Actually, it's Cambodia's first international virtual conference is held for 3 days from 21st to 23rd December 2020. It's a great opportunity for us to participate in the conference, which involves special guest speakers, not only from Cambodia, but also from some countries in Asia, Australia, USA, and South Africa. Well, before coming to the presentation session, we would like to inform all participants that all attendees mics are muted by default. If you have any questions, please kindly drop them in the chat box. You can also use earphones to help you hear the presentation better. Please consider appropriate manners when you have the video on. Please kindly rename your device in case your device name is iPhone, Samsung, or something so that it could be easy for us to recognize your attendance. One more important thing, please click on the link to register for the certificate that we have dropped in the chat box. Excellency, honorable guest speakers around the globe, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I would like to invite our guest speakers, Ms. Ali Baham from Panya Satra International School, Phnom Penh, Cambodia. Topic is Autism Spectrum Disorder Symptoms, Causes, and Strategy on how to teach children with autism within the classroom. So our guest speaker will have 20 minutes for the whole presentation, including question and answer. Now, I would like to give this floor to our guest speaker. Please welcome.
Hello everybody. My name is Ali Banham, and I'll just start sharing my presentation with you. Here we go. Okay, can you see it okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so my presentation is about autism, and I am a speech and language therapist. So I work with children mainly on their communication, so how to talk and how to tell people what they want. I've lived in Cambodia for the past 2 years, and here I started a classroom in Panyasastra International School for children with autism. And that class has been running for about 18 months now. Okay, so today we will be learning about what is autism, how is it caused, the symptoms, the diagnosis, and the general strategies. So first, I wanted to ask you if you could put your hand up if you have heard about autism before. Okay, so some people haven't heard about it. What about if, have any of you had a child in your class that has autism that you've had to teach? If you have, you can put your hand up. Okay, some have, some haven't. Okay, so I think that's a good place to start. So autism, it's a lifelong developmental disability that affects how people communicate and interact with others. So here are lots of different words that people use to describe autism, but really they all mean the same thing, autism. And one of the important points here, I think, is to say that it is lifelong. So often parents will come to me if they if their child has autism, and they might ask me, will they get better? When they're older, will they become like their normal kids? And I always answer no. When a child has autism, they will have it for their whole life. But that doesn't mean they can't improve, and they can learn things too. Okay. So here, little picture, and reads, if you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. So in this presentation, I'll be telling you some of the main symptoms of autism, but each child is different. So when you meet them, you can think about the main symptoms that I'm telling you about, but also you have to look at that child on its own. Each one is different. Okay. So incidence, this is how many children are diagnosed with autism. So it's about every 1 in 59 children, and it's a lot more common in boys than it is in girls. So boys are actually 4 times more likely to be diagnosed than girls. But I think now there's been some more research, and they believe that girls also have it more, but it's harder for girls to be diagnosed. So maybe in the future we will see more girls having autism too. So the cause, this is a difficult one because actually at the moment there is no known cause, but a lot of the research tells us that genetics is a big part of it. So, and maybe if it has older parents, the child has older parents, but still it's very unknown. But the things that we know for sure that it's not caused by, so autism is not caused by vaccinations. Watching the phone is the main one that I hear here. So lots of people tell me, oh, autism is caused by watching the phone, when actually this is not true. Children are born with autism, and it is not caused from watching the phone. Yeah, same medicine or bad parenting. None of those are reasons that a child will have autism. Okay. Oh, I just tried to move the screen. Okay, symptoms. So there are 3 main symptoms: communication, social skills, and behavior. So every child with autism, every person with autism will have difficulties in these 3 things. So the first one is communication. So they may not be able to speak, and actually 1 in 3 children with autism are nonverbal. So this means they don't speak. They might repeat back what others are saying. So if you say to them, hello, what is your name? They might say, hello, what is your name? Back to you. They might find it hard to ask for things they want, difficulty learning new words, or understanding jokes. So here it says nonverbal does not mean that I have nothing to say. It means that you may have to listen with much more than your ears. So I think this is a good thing to learn, because some children with autism, they may not learn how to speak, but they have lots of different ways to tell you what they want. So for example, one of the children in our autism class here, she uses this picture board to tell us what she wants. So one of her favorite things is this toy and these balls. So if she wants them, she will point to this picture to tell me. So she doesn't know how to say the word ball, but she can point to the picture to tell me what she wants. So we just have to find different ways for them to tell us what they want. So the next one, social skills, number 2. So they may like to play alone. They may find it hard to understand how they're feeling. So even though they still feel sad, they still feel happy, but they don't know how to tell people how they're feeling. And they find it hard to understand what other people are feeling. They often don't look in your eyes, and maybe they stand too close to other children, or they stand really far away, and they find it hard to make friends. Okay. And the last one is repetitive or restricted behaviors. So this means that they like to do the same thing lots of times. So maybe they eat the same foods, or they play with the same toys, or they like one thing very, very much. So maybe they only like playing with cars, or they only like ABC. And maybe they play with that toy lots and lots and lots of times, and they don't like to play with anything else. So in the pictures, you can see the two kids. One of them's playing with cars, and he lines them up in a line. So they might do that lots and lots of times. They might not play with the cars like other children. They do something different, and they do that same thing lots of times. And if something changes, so maybe if they change the time that they go to school, or they change the classroom, they find that really hard because they like to do the same thing every single day. Okay, so they're the three main symptoms with autism, but also many children with autism have some associated conditions. So they're not part of autism, but they're more common in people with autism. So the first one is intelligence. So some people with autism have average or above average intelligence. So they might be really, really clever and learn things very, very fast. I have one child in my class, he can remember all of the road signs and pictures and writings that he's ever seen. So if you ask him to write the logo for a company, he can write it and draw it perfectly, even though maybe he only seen it one time. So he has very, very good memory. But then some children with autism, they have a learning disability. So this means they find it hard to learn, and they find it hard to remember things. So it depends on each child or each person which one it is. And then sensory processing. So this one is how you experience your senses. So maybe they really, really don't like loud sounds. They can feel things and see things and smell things different to how we can. So something that doesn't sound very loud to us, in their ears might sound really, really loud. Or they may look out of the corner of their eyes, or they don't like people touching them. And this is called sensory processing. So they process their senses different to how we process them. And here is a long list of other associated things. So it might be attention, anxiety, sleep. So I'm not going to read through all of these. We don't have time today, but if you are interested, you can go and look back at all of the other difficulties that they might have if you are interested. And here about the diagnosis. So in the UK, where I am from, if you have an autism assessment, then there's a team of specialists, maybe a speech and language therapist like myself, a doctor or a teacher. They come together and they watch the child, they speak to the family of the child, and they use a criteria. But in Cambodia, there is no criteria for autism at the moment and no formal process. So it's very hard for children in Cambodia to get a diagnosis of autism. And then treatment. So that, like I said at the beginning, if a child has autism, they will have autism for the rest of their life. There is no cure, but there is lots of strategies that can help those children to learn and develop and be able to speak more or do other things more than they could before. And yeah, so there's no cure, just treatments and things we can help them with. Okay, so here's some general strategies you can use to help children with autism to learn. So keep the room quiet, use a visual schedule. So here are some pictures of visual schedules. So it uses pictures to show what is happening in their day. And here's one I use in my class. So this is for going to the toilet. So each part of the process we have on a picture, and we show this to the child, and it helps them to do those things by themselves. So they follow the schedule and then they can do it by themselves. And we have the same for their lessons. So this is like writing, maths, puzzles, and once they finish, they put it on the other side to show that they finished it, and they follow this whole schedule. And this helps them to know what is happening in their lesson. You can also give them simple instructions, help them to play with other children by giving them a chance to play. So in my class, every day we take the children to the mainstream classes with all the other children. So they're able to play with the other children just the same. Give them lots of attention, give them lots of praise, and try and create opportunities for them to speak to you. So if they have a favorite toy, I won't give it to them straight away. I try and get them to ask for it first, so they can have the chance to learn some new words. Okay, so here, if you want some more information, here are some good places to go to get more information. And the Cambodian Autism Network, that's on Facebook, and they have a lot of things in Khmer or in English as well. So that's a good place to get more information. Okay, so I think now we just have 5 minutes if anyone would like to ask any questions.
Yep, thank you very much for your meaningful presentation as well as very interesting topics, Ms. Ali Bahmi. So far we have got a lot of questions in chat box in your topic is really interesting. So allow me to read the question from the participant for you.
Okay.
So yeah, the first question is from Dara. How are we going to teach, or what techniques can we use in a class we include with autism students in Cambodia State School? For example, I have faced this case while I was doing the internship.
Okay. Yeah, so that's a really good question. I think one thing you could do in a state school is try and make the classroom as quiet as possible. So give the child more, make it quiet so it's easier for them to think, and teach them in using pictures. So if it's time to write, then you can use a picture of writing. Like we have this picture here. So use a picture of writing, like a visual timetable is a good way for children to learn in the mainstream classes. So they know what they need to do. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much for your answer. So here come another question. I think Kanchana, there seems to be similar question to what Ali have mentioned at the moment. So let's come to the next question from Pan Pisai.
Mhm.
From what age of children can we start to recognize whether they are autism or not?
Okay, so I think the earliest age we could recognize a child has autism is about 2 years old. But it could be a little bit later, maybe 4 or 5, depending on the child. Um, Often children with autism, maybe when they're 1, they learn to say a few words, and they don't show any symptoms. And then when they're about 2 years old, they start to show the first symptoms of autism. So I think about 2 is the first, and maybe about 4 or 5 is when most children are diagnosed.
All right, thank you so much. So we have a lot of questions waiting for you to answer. So just
Okay.
try to combine the two questions together from Pauline Kung and Sok Lee. But just try to combine the two questions together because the two questions seem to be a little bit similar.
Okay.
So the question is, for example, like my boy is nearly 3 years old, but he could not pronounce the words clearly. Uh, does he have autism? What should I do to improve his speaking ability?
Okay, so I think what you need to look at is all of the other symptoms. So one of the symptom is communication, so not being able to speak clearly. But two of the others are social skills and the repetitive behaviors. So maybe think about, does he play with other children typically, or does he like to do the same thing every day? And if not, then I think he maybe it's just that he can't speak clearly, and that's okay. A good thing to do to help him is to talk to him a lot at home. And if he says a word clearly, say it back to him clearly so he hears the right word.
Yeah, thank you so much. And here come another question from Dung Sokon. So
Hmm.
how to prevent this autism?
Pardon?
How to prevent this autism? For example, like in case to what strategy do we need to do in order to avoid autism for the children?
So, because autism is something that children are born with, and we don't know there's no known cause apart from genetics. At the moment, there's nothing that we can do to prevent it. So, what we can do is help when children do have autism, help them to learn. So, especially from a young age. So, once they have it, we need to try and get them to go to a school. That's very important. Teach them at home, give them opportunities to play with other children, and then they'll be able to develop to the best of their ability. But there's nothing that we can do to prevent the child having autism in the first place. Mhm.
All right, thank you so much for your clear explanation and answer to the question. I am pretty sure that this presentation as well as question and answer would be useful for our audience. So because of time constraint, we could not answer all questions that have been dropped in the chat box, and let us sorry for that. And the rest question would be answered in the forum. So thank you so much, Ms. Baham, for your clearly presentation. So now here come to the end of your presentation. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.